Written a Project. Hopefully you can hear me. I got my little earpiece in today because it's windy in this thing. So hopefully I don't have to repeat this several times over. I'm hoping I can do wham bam, get it done, but we'll see. Anyway, today's episode 17 of It Was Written a Project. I am bringing the Fasting Chronicles to a close. This is, I entitled this episode Clarity Part 2 because it's kind of like the sequel to episode 14, which was Clarity, and which was also the introductory episode to this series. So welcome. Subscribe if you aren't already. Hit the notification bell. Let's get into this. All right, so episode 14. I had to actually go back and watch that episode so I could tie everything together for this one. And listen, you want to talk about somebody who was rambling, okay? I literally could not articulate my thoughts well in that episode. And I knew that actually because I actually mentioned it in another episode, and I was like, watch it at your own risk. You're probably not gonna understand what I'm saying, but I knew what I wanted to say, but the way that it was coming out was just watching it back. I was like, they probably have not a single clue. I was actually gonna erase it, but I was like, nah, we gonna leave it up there and go back and see when I was off the chain. But I'm gonna do my best to make what I was attempting to say in that episode very clear today. So just to recap, that episode was about two things really. It was about the confusion that I was feeling about It Was Written a Project, and being pretty much just like, don't act out on me. Gonna get it in a second. So it was about the confusion that I was feeling about It Was Written a Project, and me kind of like really being overwhelmed with it, and then also about the fast that I had just completed. I completed that fast in, what is this month? June now. So I must have completed that fast in April. Yeah, in April. And the clarity that I received from that fast, not just about It Was Written a Project, but other things as well. I am not going to be here too long today. I know that I say that every single week, and then my episode is 40 minutes long. I don't know how. Listen, for a person who doesn't speak much, we're talking about some things and we having a lot to say. So mark these words. I will not be here that long today. The objectives are to share the clarity and insight I gained about this last fast, and also to give you guys an update about episode 16, which was last week's episode, the one that backfired, which if you haven't seen it, you really should. Very candid episode, definitely embracing vulnerability and sharing a little story there. Definitely a necessary outlet and release for me, so I'm happy that I was able to share that with you guys and release that episode. But there was a couple of things from that fast that I didn't gain clarity on until months down the line, so I wanted to give you an update on that as well. So yes, let's go ahead and get into this episode because I am in and out today. In and out, 15 minutes tops. All right, so I did actually take some notes from episode 14, which I seem to have left at home. But let me see if the brain gonna help me out today. I know that I spoke about being confused or conflicted about It Was Written a Project, about what this was specifically and what I was doing. I spoke about YouTube a lot, which I think is where it got kind of like confusing to follow in that episode, so I will clear that up in just a second. Then I mentioned just the overwhelming feeling of like trying to put the pieces together, trying to figure it out on my own. And I went into this fourth fast asking for clarity in a couple of different areas, but I think that area specifically, it was like very conflicting feelings and energy for me because I actually really enjoy doing this. And this is not, well, in the beginning, I would have said that this is not who I am. I mean, my track record shows that this ain't what you do. This ain't your vibe. But it's who I'm becoming, and I'm accepting that this is probably truly who I am. And I was putting a lot into It Was Written a Project, and yeah, I just didn't like the fact that I was like, I'm doing all of this, and it almost like I don't know why I'm doing it, if that makes sense. Like if I say this one more time, y'all gonna smack me through the screen. I know for myself that I want to inspire and encourage you guys to embrace vulnerability and share your own story. And I've mentioned 1,000 times over why I feel that's important. But It Was Written a Project specifically was something that was given to me. It wasn't something that I just came up with on my own. So even though I embrace the process of it, it's still very new for me. So at that point, I was just kind of feeling like, you're kind of asking me to do a lot. This is my conversation we got. Pardon the wind. You're asking me to do a lot, and I just was like, I need to know why I'm doing this, because you got me out here vulnerable. You know what I mean? You got me out here like, why am I doing this? It was all of that, and also I needed clarity on this new season that I was entering into, because I could feel that like this transition was happening. Like I was coming out of one season and into the next. And actually in that episode 14, I said that I was coming out of a season of blindness and into a season of clarity, which is true. But more specifically, I realized I was coming out of my wilderness season and into my waiting season, or I call it my pruning season, or like the prepping season. So all of these reasons were the reason that I fasted this 4th time around. All right, so the biggest issue I had with It Was Written a Project was that I didn't know where it was going. And I had not a lot, but enough people asking me like, what's next? Like, what's next with It Was Written a Project? And that's where I start finding myself trying to figure that out on my own, like really working to like put those pieces together. And that's where I started like talking about and questioning YouTube so much in that episode. That was part of me trying to put the pieces together of what's next, and definitely think that I was trying to make YouTube play a more significant role than it was meant to play, or that it is meant to play. In that episode, you hear me talking about or asking like, okay, am I supposed to like be trying to become a YouTuber? Like, I'm here, you got me here sharing my story on YouTube. Maybe that's what's next. So now I'm trying to figure out, okay, how does one get monetized on YouTube? What's the silly algorithm that they got going on? I am all on IG, like promoting my YouTube channel, seemingly doing a lot, to be honest. And I say doing a lot because I'm not really into social media like that, and I never wanted to force It Was Written a Project on anyone. That's why I had a personal page and I had a separate page for It Was Written a Project. But when I start trying to like figure all this stuff out and like doing extra things, you know, they kind of like joined forces. Like I was promoting It Was Written a Project on It Was Written a Project page and my personal page, and that was not really what I was going for in the beginning. Before I made the page for It Was Written a Project, the Instagram page for It Was Written a Project, I did mention it a lot on my personal page, just that it was like, I'm working on this new project, blah, 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 like follow whatever. But I just wanted to give people like the option. I didn't want to like throw it in their face. So the people who actually followed the page, that's who got like the most of It Was Written a Project. And I don't know, it just kind of like took over, and it overwhelmed me. It was overwhelming, and it just didn't sit, I don't know, it just didn't sit well with me. I don't know how to explain it better than that. It just didn't sit well with me that I was like doing all this extraness. What I got after fasting, and what I think is important for people to know, is you don't just get hit, with all the answers that you were seeking right after you fast. Like, it don't just come to you. And I think that it's important to remember that even after you're done fasting, there are still things that you need to be carrying out from the fast, things that you need to be incorporating, like the habits, the sacrifices, the new habits and the sacrifices that you brought into this fast. You need to be carrying those new habits and the things that you sacrificed outside of the fast too. I hope that makes sense. All right, so basically what I'm trying to say is the reason we are able to kind of like hear God so much clearer, or so much clearly while we're fasting, get a wind, let the wind do its thing. The reason why we're able to hear God so clearly while we're fasting, and then after our fast, a lot of times like things get cloudy again, we start moving, like to the left again, it's probably because most of the time after we're done fasting, we just go back to our old lifestyle. Yo, we have got to keep that same energy. I can't stress that enough. Like when we're fasting, we are being nourished by the word because we're sacrificing whatever else, whether it be food, whether it be social media, whether it be sex. But do you ever notice that like you might get off of social media and all of a sudden like you're able to get so much stuff done, time isn't being wasted during the day, like you really feel like, oh, I'm not comparing myself to this person, I'm not trying to like, keep up with the Joneses, whatever. And then you get back on social media and all this time is being wasted. You don't know where the time went, you're not getting as much accomplished. Not everybody can balance social, like in real life. Not everybody can. You need to know if you're a person that cannot balance it, and you need to know if you're a person that don't really need to be on social media. Simple as that. I know I personally function legit like 100 times better when I'm not on Instagram. When you notice that you have been on point or you weren't on point when you let that thing go, don't go back to it just because now the fast is over. Don't go back to it just because that's what you knew. Replace it for the thing that you originally sacrificed it for, which should have been the word. When you really start to get rooted in the word, your desires should start to shift. Old habits should be beginning to, become a thing of the past. But not even that, not only that, you'll find that like those old desires you don't even desire anymore. So for me, there were a couple of things that I incorporated in my fast that I continued and made a daily part of my routine once my fast was over. So one of those things was I sacrificed sleep. I woke up at 5 o'clock every morning. Can y'all hear the wind? I woke up at 5 o'clock every morning to pray and to meditate. I sacrificed a couple of hours of sleep and gave it to God, and I've been doing it ever since my fast ended. So in reference to It Was Written a Project and what I was seeking, the answers that I was seeking, I didn't get that immediately after the fast. It took some time for me to hear God saying to me, just do what I asked you to do. Like, baby, just do what I asked you to do. You're worried about YouTube and IG and monetization and subscribers and comments. You're worried about all these things, and I never mentioned any of that to you. I never said anything to you about any of that. The only thing that I said was share your story. And I thought about it, and I'm like, dag, I did. I absolutely took the focus off of what was specifically given to me, and I started putting focus on subscribers and comments, and I got to put it on IG so everybody can see it, and everybody can know what's going on. You're not focused. My only job was to be obedient, not to take what I was given and try to do my own thing with it. You know what I mean? God already knows what and why it was written. The project was purposed or is purposed, and it's deeper than YouTube. I honestly believe it has absolutely nothing to do with YouTube, but rather prepping me in a way specifically for what is next. And like I said, I let people get to me with the asking of, what's next, which, it wasn't like they were poking at me like, so what you doing now? What's next? That was just my own thing. And because of that, I went to God like, yo, what's next? Like, I got to give him an answer. What's next? And basically what I got from that is, how you going to ask about what's next and you haven't even completed what was first? Like, it was written, the project was supposed to be a year of sharing my story through the pages of my journals, and I'm just now halfway through the year, and I'm like, yo, what's up? What's next? I had to shut it down. And that's one of the reasons why this little break that I took, I had to get off of IG and I had to get off of YouTube for a second, because the focus, I wasn't focused on the focus. Currently, I'm still not on IG because it just doesn't serve me. I'm just focused now on what was originally given to me, nothing else. And I realized, that is the reason why I was overwhelmed, because I'm sitting over here, trying to call the shots and trying to make It Was Written, a project, be something that it was never meant to be. So all I want to say before ending this episode is, number one, yo, I'm about to be tanned out here. I'm about to be a little bronze thing out here. And secondly, be sure to exercise your patience, be intentional, be present in the present, and continue to seek the word. God has a plan for all of us, a plan to prosper us, and that plan is already blessed. Humble yourself. Don't go thinking you know it all, interrupting God's plan to, scoot your little plan in there and try to have God bless that. He won't. You know what I mean? Like, he might give you a little taste, but it won't last, and you will find yourself starting over. And that kind of, to conclude, that brings me to what I wanted to mention about episode 16, that fast that I thought backfired on me, that I thought blew up in my face, but it really didn't. My desire for partnership and family was real, and I'm just being honest. I really think that God knew that, but he couldn't bless or anoint that relationship at the time, because there were so many things, so much stuff that I needed to work on within myself. And I just thank God that I understood that I realized that, and I didn't go into it saying, just bless this anyway, because it wouldn't have worked out. Like, I'm glad that I was wise enough to know that I had to do the hard thing, because at the end of the day, it wasn't going to work out anyway. Even though it killed me to have to break that off, I knew that it was exactly what I had to do. I knew that we couldn't move forward in the position that we were in. And if I would have stayed, if I would have never said anything, I don't even want to know, where we would be today in reference to, just even being able to be cordial with one another. Again, when you are rooted a little bit in the word, it changes you, and your desires will begin to shift, and you will desire to just want to please God. When I fasted, I feel like I just spit, sorry. When I fasted that time around, during that fast, I gave up sex. I stopped having sex, and as soon as I completed my fast, I just went back to having sex again. But I'm praying for, this is so funny. I'm fasting because I want God to bless me with this partnership and to be able to have a family and to be able to be like the woman that I'm supposed to be for this man. But I know everything the word says about premarital sex, but I am going to go back and, you follow me? What I'm asking for, what I'm sitting up here talking about, and my actions, they are not matching up at all. They're not aligning. So, of course, it's not going to work. And I can't speak for anybody else. I don't want to speak for anybody else. I know several people who have done it, who are doing it, who are happy, you know what I mean? And even who are happily married. That's not my story. I know that when I started doing it again, I was immediately convicted. Like in my heart, everything in me was like, you know that you are wrong for doing this. Also, if it wasn't for this particular relationship, I don't think that, I'm not going to say ever, but I wouldn't have gained the awareness that I speak about now. I don't know when I would have gained that. It wasn't until this relationship that I gained that awareness about desiring partnership, desiring a family, and being wise enough to know that if I really wanted that I had to stop doing certain things and that I had to like do things that was hard. God already knows what's up. God already knows what's up. Trust and be patient. I am telling you, it took me almost a year to get that revelation. So when you fast, do it with intention, do it with purpose, and be prepared to give some things up. Be prepared to truly sacrifice and be prepared to make a change. So I think my time is up. I'm pretty confident that I made it under 15 minutes or at the 15-minute mark. I'm pretty confident. I want to thank you guys for watching today. I appreciate you guys so much. Continue to embrace vulnerability. Continue to share your stories. Thumbs up if you liked this video. Don't forget to share with a friend if you think that this episode could be a blessing to them. And I hope you guys are enjoying the beautiful weather wherever you happen to be. I will catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching.